I bet you didn't know fiddles didn't even exist when Rome burned. The Great Fire of Rome, which occurred in AD 64, is one of the most infamous events in ancient history. It ravaged the city for 6 days, leaving a significant portion of Rome in ruins. The fire's origin remains a mystery, with theories ranging from accidental causes to deliberate arson. But amidst the chaos and destruction, a legend was born that has persisted through the ages. Yep, you heard that right. The idea that Nero, the Roman emperor at the time, played a fiddle while his city burned is a tale that has captured the imagination of many. But how did this story come to be? And is there any truth to it? So, let's set the record straight. The fiddle, as we know it today, is a relatively modern instrument. It evolved from earlier string instruments, but it certainly wasn't around during Nero's time. In fact, the violin, which is closely related to the fiddle, wouldn't make its appearance until the 16th century, over 1,000 years after the Great Fire of Rome. Back in AD 64, Rome was engulfed in a massive fire. The blaze started in the merchant shops around Rome's Chariot Stadium, the Circus Maximus, and quickly spread through the city's narrow, crowded streets. The fire consumed homes, temples, and public buildings, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. Now Nero, the Roman emperor, gets a bad rap with that whole fiddling thing, but the truth is Nero was known to be a patron of the arts. He was an accomplished musician and singer, and he had a particular fondness for the lyre, an ancient string instrument that was popular in Greece and Rome. But guess what? Fiddles weren't even a thing back then. The lyre, on the other hand, was a well-known instrument in Nero's time. It had a distinctive sound and was often used in performances and ceremonies. Nero's love for the lyre was well documented, and he even participated in public performances, much to the chagrin of some of his contemporaries. The violin wouldn't pop up for another 1,500 years. The evolution of string instruments is a fascinating journey that spans centuries and cultures. From the ancient lyre to the medieval fiddle, and eventually to the modern violin, each instrument has its own unique history and significance. What Nero might have done was play the lyre, an ancient string instrument. Some historical accounts suggest that Nero was indeed playing the lyre and singing while Rome burned, but these accounts are often viewed with skepticism. The image of Nero playing music amidst the flames is a powerful one, but it's important to consider the sources of these stories. But even that's debated. Ancient historians like Tacitus and Suetonius wrote about Nero's actions during the fire, but their accounts differ significantly. Tacitus, for example, suggested that Nero was away from Rome when the fire started and returned to the city to organize relief efforts. Suetonius, on the other hand, painted a more damning picture of Nero's behavior. Historical sources differ, with some saying Nero was actually coordinating relief efforts during the fire. According to these accounts, Nero opened his palaces to provide shelter for the homeless and arranged for food supplies to be distributed to those in need. These actions suggest a more compassionate side of Nero, one that is often overshadowed by the more sensational stories. Others, well, they just loved a good scandal. The idea of a ruler playing music while his city burned was too tantalizing to resist. It played into the narrative of Nero as a tyrant who was more concerned with his own pleasures than the welfare of his people. This image was further perpetuated by later historians and writers, cementing it in popular imagination. So was Nero a heartless musician or an early disaster manager? The truth is likely more complex than either of these extremes. Nero was a multifaceted figure with both positive and negative traits. His reign was marked by significant achievements as well as controversies, and his legacy is still debated by historians today. The truth is probably somewhere in between. Nero's actions during the fire of Rome are shrouded in mystery and conflicting reports. While it's clear that he had a passion for music, the extent to which he was involved in the relief efforts or the fire itself remains uncertain. What we do know is that the story of Nero fiddling while Rome burned is more myth than fact. Next time you hear someone say Nero fiddled while Rome burned, remember that history is often more nuanced than the stories we hear. The tale of Nero and the Great Fire of Rome is a perfect example of how myths can overshadow the more complicated reality. Hit 'em with these facts. Share the real story and help debunk the myth. Understanding the true history of events like the Great Fire of Rome can give us a deeper appreciation for the complexities of the past and the people who lived through it. And remember, history is full of myths just waiting to be debunked. By questioning the stories we hear and seeking out the truth, we can gain a more accurate understanding of the past. So, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning. Stay curious, history buffs. The past is a treasure trove of stories, lessons, and mysteries. There's always more to discover, and the journey of learning is never ending. So dive into history with an open mind and a critical eye, and who knows what fascinating truths you'll uncover.